Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Let me introduce myself first. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is Dr. Muhammad Adil. I'll teach you plant systematics. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Murad Ali Khan, Shireen Zada, and Amir Sultan. All of you are here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about rest of your friends?
But sir, we are four friends.
Four of you.
Yes.
Murad Ali Khan, Shireen Zada, Amir Sultan. What about another one? Who is the other? The fourth one. Who is the fourth one?
And I think it's it.
He is absent. Okay, Murad Ali Khan, please introduce yourself.
Sir, my name is Murad Ali Khan from district Dirulur.
Okay, this is your first semester or second?
Yes, sir. First semester.
You are PhD scholar.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Shireen Zada, please introduce yourself. Shireen Zada, can you hear me? Amir Sultan, can you hear me? Is there any problem? Am I audible to both of you, Shireen Zada and Amir Sultan? If you can hear me, please introduce yourself.
सर
Amir Sultan.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Amir Sultan, please introduce yourself.
My name is Amir Sultan, sir. I am working as assistant professor at GTZ Alpuri, district Shangla Swat. I am PhD scholar with you, sir.
Thank you. That's great. You can mute your mic now. Thank you. Shireen
Okay.
Zada, please. Okay, we will start. I'll take you later. Shireen Zada, if you can hear, then let me know. You can describe and introduce yourself after this lecture. Now I'm going to start this lecture with you. Plant systematics is our subject. We will discuss in detail vegetative characters of plants, floral characteristics, angiosperm life cycle, seed, embryo, and fruit characteristics, and fluorescence type, plant species concept. We will talk about species, taxonomic species, biological species, micro and macro species, species aggregate, specific categories. We will also talk about taxonomic evidence, importance and types of taxonomic evidence, anatomical, cytological, chemical, molecular, palynological, geographical, and embryological. We will also discuss different systems of classification with at least one example of each. That is Linnaeus, Bentham, Hooker, Engler, and Prandtl, Bessay, Cronquist, Takhtajan, and Dahlgren. Rules of nomenclature, including effective and valid publications, typification, principles of priority, and its limitations, author citations, rank of man taxonomic categories, conditions for rejecting names, general characteristics, distribution and economic importance of the following families of angiosperms. ये कुछ 25 families हैं, and we will talk about these families. We will discuss all these families in detail. So in comparison, you saw that this course is a bit lengthy, and we will try to sum up all these contents in a specific duration of time. Some of this course you will read inshallah in midterm, while rest of the course you will read in final term. You will be given assignments, different kinds of, and lab work, which we will discuss later. But now let's start plant systematics. You can see on your screens plant systematics. It is the relationship between plants and their evolutions at a higher level. So it covers, it is actually the canopy which talks about the evolutions and plants, and it discusses their relationships at a higher level, whereas taxonomy is actually the identifications, categorizations, specifications, and giving names to plants. So this is something handling plants practically. And so far as these two are concerned, so there is no a clear boundary wall between the two. One is actually talking about the evolution of evolution and the plants. It correlate its relationship at higher level, while the next talk about the identification, characterization, classification, naming of the plants at a specific level. Plant systematics provide us genetics, basis of genetics. It also characterizes morphological, anatomical, and cytological structures among different species of plants. Plant systematic and plant taxonomy. As I told earlier, plant taxonomy talks about the relationship between the plants and evolution at higher level, whereas plant taxonomy deals with the actual handling of plant specimens. These two are closely allied, and there is no illicit, explicit, or evident demarcation between them. Now you can see the diagram. Systematic, it has been demarcated evidently in taxonomy, biosystematic, and phylogenetics, which we will read and we will talk about in details. Plant systematics will explore. What if we read plant systematic, you would be able to understand what the origin and diversification of land plants were, while emphasizing flowering plants. We will emphasize flower plants, and we will go for its ancestry and its origin. You will become familiar with taxonomy. You will come to know about taxonomy, identification, nomenclature, classification, as this is the, we can say, backbone of botany. If a layman you meet, they would surely ask you about the plants and their characteristics, rather than going into the details of physicochemical structure, phytochemical screenings, or some pharmacological uses, or any kind of flora. They will, what you can convince a layman, if you will be having lots of knowledge about the plants, about their identifications and nomenclatures and floral structure, so you would be known as a popular botanist. And we all must know about the plants and their floras. Second, evolution, speciation, reproduction biology, adaptations, convergence, and biogeography. Phylogenetics, such as phenetic, cladistics, which mean grouping, morphology, and molecules. Lab emphasis, learning representative families and genera of flowering plants. These are actually the outlines which we will talk about, and we will, by the end of the day, we would be able to know about all of these things. Now, the first topic of your syllabus is vegetative characteristics, as I described in the beginning while I was commencing. I told you that the first content of our syllabus, it is vegetative characteristics. Then we will talk about floral characteristics and then angiosperm life cycle. So vegetative and reproductive characteristics, being botanist, you have been through all these information from I would say from 5th class. We have been listening or from class first about the plants, that the plants consist of different parts, vegetative parts and floral parts or reproductive parts. So in a broader sense, plants are classified, plants are divided into from their mode of nutrition, or they are divided as vegetative and reproductive. They have two parts. The first one is vegetative part and the second one is reproductive part. We can see through this diagram, we can see a flower. There is an apical bud and stem, roots, a root system, shoot. Now we will talk about all these in detail. Vegetative characteristics. Vegetative means somatic. Soma mean body. So it is the part of the plant other than reproductive part, or we can say floral part. These structures of vascular plants include two major organ system. There are two major organ system. The first one is known as shoot system and the second one is root system. We have always been confused with shoot and stem. Shoot is actually a broader thing than stem, which is specific. Shoot consists of two parts. The first one is stem, while the second one is leaves. So if we will talk about shoot, it would mean both. We are talking about both the stems and the leaves. And if we are talking about stem, it would mean that we are only talking about the stem and not the leaf. The vegetative part of the plant, stem and leaves are two separate things, while shoot encompasses both of them. It would mean we are talking about stem and leaves. The second is root system. What is the difference between these two? One is underground part of the plant, while the second one is aerial part of the plant. It means it is a part which is above the ground and not in the ground like root. I think these are quite simple things and very much understandable, but we will go through it and we will talk about it. If you want to add something, you may raise your hand and I would give you chance to say anything you want. So these are quite simple things. We will talk about it and then we will go towards specifications of things. The main thing in this subject is to learn classification, taxonomy, about taxonomy, species, and all these system of classification we must know about. And then we must be able to learn names of plants which we can see in our daily life. So we may tell about, and also about their medicinal value. We must also have knowledge of medicine which these plants possess in terms of phytochemical, in terms of fatty acids, in terms of elements, in terms of bioactive constituents, etc. We will talk about that later. So we must know about these plants which we can see in our daily life. Those things are important. Now we will talk about stem. What is stem? It is the main structural axis of vascular plants. What is the function of a stem? It actually supports leaves, flowers, and fruits. Second thing is it transports water and dissolves substances between the roots and the shoot in xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloems are two tubes conducting structures which conduct food and water and dissolved substances. Their functions and their physicochemical structure, you are all aware of it. And here in this systematic, we will not talk about their physicochemical structure. We will generally just discuss these. Store what it do, it stores nutrients and produce new living tissues. The stem is normally divided into nodes and internodes. You are aware of it. The stem normally it is divided into nodes and internodes. I have given a picture which you will see later. The nodes hold one or more leaves. This is a point or junction point where the leaves and even some adventitious roots they emerges from here. Also, inflorescence or leaf conifer cones, they are also they emerges from these buds emerges from these nodes. The internodes distance one node from the other. Here, as I told you, the shoot, it is often confused with the stems, and we must know the demarcation line between the two, that one is a compact word. It actually encompasses both. The first one holds stem and leaves. Shoots contain stem and leaves, and stem, it's the structure which support the plant. But some plants have underground stem. We will talk about underground stem as it is a modified part of the plant. So we will talk about modifications as it is one of the heading, or you can say a component of this syllabus. Modification structures we will read later. Okay, here are the functions of stem. A support for and the elevation of leaves, flowers, and fruits. It keeps these structure above the ground, and it provides different kinds of supports in terms of food, in terms of shelter, in terms of a backbone support. The stem keep the leaves in the light and provide a place for the plant to keep its flower and fruits. Again, it transports fluids between the roots and shoots through xylem and phloem. Production of living tissues, the normal lifespan of plant cells is 1 to 3 years. You must all know about it and remembered it. The normal lifespan of plant cell is 1 to 3 years. Stems have cells called meristems that annually generate new living tissues. Meristematic tissues, you are well aware of it. These are the tissues where division takes place, and these are the tissues which are responsible for the growth, for the upright growth of the plants, while lateral growth, cambium, So meristematic tissues, these are the tissues which enable a plant to growth, and those tissues which become permanent, they only lengthen in size. So division, where division takes place, these are the meristematic tissues. Conductions, stems have two pipe-like structures which are known as xylem and phloem. They transport food and water, etc. The phloem tissue consists of seed tubes and their companion cells. The two tissues are separated by cambium, which is a tissue that divides to form xylem or phloem cells. It actually helps in the formation of xylem and phloem cells. These are the nodes and internodes you can see. From these internodes, leaves are attached to these parts. It is clearly visible, and even adventitious roots emerges from these nodes. Now, stem is a common term we used for the stalk of a leaf, plant. Stalk of the plant is called stem, but there are different cases. There are specialized terms. In special circumstances, they are given special terms, which we will talk about in detail. A coalescent used to describe stem in plant that appear to be stemless. Actually, these stems, these are short, or we can say dwarf, and leaves are present above them. So they are hidden, they are kept in clandestine. We can see leaves, but these are actually the short stems. Arborescent tree with woody stem, normally with a single trunk. That is known as arborescent. It is also stem. Axillary wood, a wood which grows at the point of attachment of an older leaf with the stem. It potentially gives rise to a shoot. Branched, this is simple. Aerial stems are described as being branched or unbranched. It may be branched or unbranched. But an embryonic shoot with immature stem tip. That is the fragile, immature stem tip. Bulb, a short vertical underground stem with fleshy storage, leaves attached. Any one of you can give me an example? An example? Murad Ali. Can you hear me? Amir Sultan. Can you hear me? Any one of you?
Sir, colchicum, onion.
Yes, you can. Actually, I want you to be, waked. That's any jizal agya mota sudhi.
Okay. Sir, Siddiq try ke Sir Siddiq try ke enter ke do jum malgare awago which link mat unable le.
I think he is entered now. Atikur Rahman.
Siddiq Khatak, sir.
Siddiq Khatak. Are you 5 in numbers?
Sir, I don't know, but
Siddiq Ahmad, let me
neither sir.
Let me check. 1 minute. Let me give
Sir,
you
nishte.
1 minute.
Sir,
Meeting
machiku
ID.
nishte pake.
Give him meeting ID. Note it down.
Sir, 8730840 dami will work, sir.
3456. Then what happened? What is wrong?
I don't know, sir. Agam try ki bar lagya de which mata failure razi wai. Da sir coordinator sir call kade de coordinator hotai che sir to wai mata link rawli ki wai.
Ha. No da.
But sir raga Siddiqullah. Which sir?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes, sir. Raga, sir.
Siddiqullah, welcome. Can you hear me, Siddiqullah? It's okay. He may listen. So I want you to be, in a position that I must know that you can hear me and you are listening me and you are learning something. Tell me about it.
Yes, sir. We are active, sir.
Okay, that's great. What we are talking about?
Sir, vegetative characteristic of a plant, sir. आगे की मुंगा लगे पर bulb तस्वीर चेन example नो आगे की onion दे सर आओ colchicum हुमा तस्वीर पकी हुए सर.
That's great.
Tulip दे turnip दे sir.
Exactly, bilkul. Rest of our colleagues, they're here.
Yes, sir. Murad Ali Khan.
Murad Ali Khan, tool wikhti.
Yes, sir. Tuli.
Now let's start. Acha. His petals, when stem grows in a tangled mast or clump or in low growing mats. Cladode, including phylloclade, a flattened stem that appear more or less leaf-like and is specialized for photosynthesis, like cactus. It looks like a leaf, but it is actually not a leaf. Can you hear me? It is actually,
yes, sir.
Yes, it is. Yes. It looks like a leaf. Like if we saw cactus is not leaf, it is stem, but it is a modified form of stem. So it is called cladode. Climbing, there are lots of examples of climbing stems which wrap around the plants or walls or any support. So all these are called climbing stems. Comb, one is cone and this is comb, a short and large underground storage stem. You know Taru?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Anyone? If I will name, then you will realize that what is actually, and you will come to know about the term COM. Kachalu page any?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That type of structure is called COM.
Com.
Okay, decumbent stem that lie flat on the ground and turn upward at the ends. Fruticose stems. Actually, there is nothing like rocket science in these terms. We are just going to discuss it. You are supposed to memorize it, right? So
Yes, sir.
this is not any
Yes.
kind of mathematical formula or any kind of statistical calculation. This is nothing like that. These are just names. As I would let's suppose if I'm calling you by your names, right? Like Shireen
Yes,
Zada, Murad Ali, Atikur Rahman, Siddiqullah, Amir Sultan. I may forget any of them and I may remind. So it depends on our reading. The more you will read it, the more you will retain it with you. So you're supposed to memorize all these things, right? I'm just going to read it.
Yes.
Okay. Herbaceous, non-woody, they die at the end of the growing season. Internode, as we talk, an interval between two successive nodes. It possesses the ability to elongate. There must be present permanent tissues, either from its base or from its extremity, depending on the species. Again, note a point of attachment of a leaf or a twig. You know twig? It is a tendril type structure which is used by the plants for attachment. As I have shown you in this picture, this type of structure, you can see it is called twig on your right side. This type of structure, I said. Okay. Pedicel stem that serves as the stalk of an individual flower and in inflorescence or inflorescence. If there is inflorescence group of flowers together, then it is called pedicel. And peduncle if there is a stem that supports in inflorescence. Prickle, a sharpened extension of the stem's outer layer, such as in roses. Cantage isko kehte hain. Pseudostem, a false stem made of the rolled base of leaves, which may be 2 to 3 meter, 6 feet 7 into 9 feet to 10 and tall, as in banana. Pseudostem, these are not woody structure, as we can see a banana. So banana is the example. Rhizome, a horizontal underground stem that functions mainly in reproduction, but also in storage, such as ferns and iris, etc. Runners, a type of stolon horizontally growing on top of ground and rooting at the nodes, aids in reproductions, such as garden strawberry, etc. Cape, a stem that holds flowers that comes out of the ground and has no normal leaves, such as lily, iris, garlic, etc. Stolon, as we discussed in the earlier, the farmer slide, a horizontal stem that produces rooted plantlets at its nodes and ends, forming near the surface of the ground. So this is these are the nodes from where emerges even stems, and on ground sides, what emerges? The roots, adventitious roots. Thorn, a modified stem with a sharpened point, such as in flowers, roses. Tuber, a swollen underground storage stem adapted for storage and reproduction, such as potato. Potato is the type of, we will also talk about it in the modified structures. This is actually the modified tuber is the modified structures. Woody, hard textured stems with secondary xylem. Okay, now this is the structure of stem: epidermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, xylem, phloem. They vary in different plants. All these structures, they vary. Some parts like pericycle or xylem, they vary in structures and presence and absence, availability of cock. So the structure of the stem, it varies from species to species and plant to plant. Now we will talk about leaves. A leaf, its plural is leaves, is the principal lateral appendage of vascular plant, and it is one of the most important part of the plant in terms of photosynthesis, and it actually it is the producer. Plants are called producers, and these are the significant parts of the plants which helps in photosynthesis and formations of food for the plants. Leaves can have many different shapes, size, and textures. It can be of any kind, even it has been modified like in Roxburghii or Pinus. You have you have witnessed that there are needle-like leaves. Some where they are these leaves are they are thick enough in order to avoid transpiration and wastage of water. Some in some hydrophytes, they are the lamina, they are quite huge, and its area is quite large in order to facilitate transpiration. So these structures actually, the size of the leaves, they vary. The broad flat leaves with complex venation of flowering plants are known. 1 minute. Venation of flowering plants are known as megaphylls, and the species that bear them, the majority is broad-leaved or megaphylous plants. If they are flat leaves with venations and network of that venations, so these are called megaphylls, and those plants which contain megaphylls are called megaphylous plants. With different evolutionary origin, the leaves are simply with only a single vein or known as microphylls. Some leaves, such as bulb scales, are not above ground. In many aquatic species, the leaves are submerged in water. Mostly we see that leaves, they are present above the ground in order to capture light and to go for photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, they need light and carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide. But there are leaves like bulbs, they are present submerged in water. Succulent plants, as I told earlier, often have thick, juicy leaves, but some leaves are without major photosynthetic function and may dead at maturity. Example is cataphyls and spines. Spines, you are aware of it. They are actually dead cells. So why these are actually the modification of the leaves according to the environment and the circumstances wherein they live. The shape and structure of leaves vary considerably from species to species and plant to plant. Leaves can also store food, water. They modified accordingly to meet these functions. Examples of succulent plants, ये क्या है और bulb उसका scale है. Now let's talk about the structure, morphological structure of leaf. A structurally complete leaf of angiosperm consists of the following parts. The first one is petiole. It is a stalk to which the leaf is attached to the stem. Lamina is that blade of the leaf, the blady portion of the leaf, while stipule is structure located on either side of this petiole at the base, and sheath is the base of the leaf which has covered a little area of the stem. So that is the sheath. Not every species produce leaves with all of these structural components. Even these components, they vary. Some you might have heard about sessile. and some may be sessile and some may be petiolate. If the petiole is present, the leaf, it means that the leaf is attached to the stem through this petiole. So such type of leaves are called petiolate leaves. And if petiole is absent, then such type of leaves are sessile. This is the structure, and you can see different kinds of arrangement of leaves. The one is in the form of whole, the second is opposite to each other's, the third one is present in the form of triplet. I'm actually talking about this graph from ascending order, from down to up. So we can see the one which is alone and one is in the form of whole. These are actually the arrangements. Perennial plants are those plants whose leaves shed annually, and they are said to be deciduous leaf, which shed annually and new leaves emerges on the plants, while those plants which are available, which are present and which does not shed, they are called evergreens. Leaves attached to stems by stalk known as petiolate, as I discussed before in the former slide. They are called petiolate. If petiole is present, it is called petiolate. And if attached directly to the stem with no petiole, they are called sessile, as I told you. Fern have fronds. These are groups of short circled leaves. Conifer leaves are typically needle or all-shaped or scale-like. They are usually evergreen, but can sometimes be deciduous. They are evergreen conifers, and they may be deciduous. They may shed sometime. Usually they have a single vein. Flowering plants, angiosperms. Leaves of angiosperms, the standard form includes stipules, a petiole, and lamina. These are considered as the complete form of the leaves. Lycophytes have microphyls. It means that only a single vein is present. Sheath leaves are the type found in most grasses and many other monocots. As I've told you, that these are actually the bases of the leaves, which works as sheath, and these are the attachment points. Like petiole, these are the sheaths or the attachment points of that grass or leaf to the main stalk of the plant. So those are called sheath. It actually protect even the stem, we can say, are the attachment point. Other specialized leaves include those of Nepenthes, a pitcher plant. That is a modified structure which is used by the plant for capturing insects. Dicot leaves and monocot leaves. There are two types of leaves which are found in dicot plants and monocot plants. Dicot leaves, they have blades with pinnate vegetations where major vein diverges from large, the petiole, and it spreads in the form of a network throughout the lamina. Less commonly, dicot leaf blades may have palmate venation, several large veins diverging from petiole to leaf edges. Now, monocot leaves. Monocot leaves in temperate climate usually have narrow blades and usually parallel venation converging at leaf tips. Can you tell me about monocot leaves? Give me an example, any of you. Any example of monocot leaves?
Sir, maize.
That's great. Next. Sadiqullah. Any other examples? Sadiqullah, can you hear me? Am I audible, Sadiqullah? Shireen Zada.
सर मैं अदर सर सोच खूं अभी लाने आ दीजिए सर.
It's okay. What about sugar cane?
Yes sir.
Sugar.
What about wheat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Murad Ali Khan, any new addition?
Yes, sir. मैंने तो वीडियो बताया था सर.
अच्छा ठीक है. Let's go. अच्छा आगे चलते हैं. मतलब आप जाग रहे हैं सब. हाँ,
Yes, sir.
ये थोड़ा सा ऐसा टॉपिक है ना कि इसमें खुद को जगाना पड़ता है. जब नेक्स्ट टाइम ये लेक्चर हो तो कॉफी का एक कप जो है ये साथ रखा करें.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some also have pennate venation. Arrangement, there is missing of G in this slide. Arrangement of leaves. Alternate one leaf, branch or flower part attached at each point are nodes on the stem and leaves alternate directions to a greater or lesser degree along the stem. As I showed you the slide, इसमें आपने देखा था कि this is the way how they got arranged. तो stem के इर्द-गिर्द वो किस तरह arrange होते हैं. It may be in the form of a hole, it may be in a triplet form, it may be in opposite form. ठीक है. And there are different terms which we used for them. Basal arising from the base of the stem, Colline arising from the aerial stem, and opposite, you know, which are opposite to each other. These are modified structures. And with this, the first topic of your syllabus will be covered. Then we will talk in next lecture, we will talk about floral characteristics, inshallah. Modified structures like leaves and roots, shoots and stem also have modifications. We can see there are different types of modifications in terms of leaves, in terms of stems, in terms of roots, and even some floral parts are, we can see they are modified. Some examples are rhizome, stolon, tubers, bulb, cone, thorn, spines, cladophylls, cladode, and stem traps. These are all the modified structures of the plants. Rhizome, ginger or underground stem that burrow into the ground just below the soil surface and usually tend to have small scale like leaves that are not photosynthetic. Buds from the axil of the leaves make new branches that will grow to become above ground shoots, and there are many more modified structures which we will discuss later, and different families which when we will talk about families, when I will teach you families, and when we will read thoroughly every family, then we will talk about the modified structures present in those specific families. With this lecture ends, and next lecture we will talk about floral characteristics. I'll also give you some sort of assignments, and we will talk about the lab work, but later on in second or third lecture, inshallah. Now, I would like to ask you and about your scheme of work. Have you designed any scheme of work for your research? I'll name Murad Ali.
Yes, sir. मैंने तो MPhil में जी weed control of garlic plant, various herbicide मैंने यूज किया था, mulches यूज किया था weed control के लिए. So I think
have you designed your work for the upcoming research? Now, okay, just I'll ask you for a short period of time and then we will end. Okay, thank you, Murad Ali. Shireen Zada.
सर कंजर्वेशन स्टेटस था वुडी प्लांट्स का मेरा एमफिल में, और पीएचडी के लिए अभी तक कोई प्लानिंग नहीं है सर, लेकिन शायद इसी कंजर्वेशन पे ही जाऊंगा आगे.
Inshallah, start thinking about it, right?
Okay, sir, inshallah.
At the end, I will talk about the research and its utilization and its important and what is important in PhD, and being PhD scholar, what you are supposed to do, how will you intend to do your work. Then we will talk about it for a short period of time. Amir Sultan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, and then tell us about your past field of specialization and what is your planning for future.
Sir, my name is Amir Sultan. I'm working as assistant professor in botany at Government Degree College, Alpuri, District Shangla, Swat.
That's great.
So
What are
can you
your
hear me,
planning?
sir?
Yes, you are audible.
I have worked on my districts in phytomedicines in my MSc thesis, and currently I submitted my thesis to the Cordoba University in phytomedicines from Kana Valley.
Hmm.
In future, sir, I wish to work on the conservation and phytomedicinal status of the remaining district.
And that's great. That's great. Atikur Rahman.
Ji, sir.
Okay, tell us something about yourself and then your strategy, your planning about your future work.
Inshallah, sir, we are working the medicinal and marketable plants of Dirkistan.
That's great. So you have planned that you will work there.
Ji, sir.
You have designed your work, or you will think about it. It's okay, Atikur Rahman. Thank you. Siddiqullah. Siddiqullah, can you hear me? Siddiqullah, can you hear me? Okay, Atifa Qudus, can you hear me?
Yes,
Am
sir, I can.
Okay. Okay, tell us about yourself and your work, your design, your strategy.
Okay. My name is Atifa Qudus and I'm from Bunair. Recently, I have done my MPhil from Cordoba University and I've just taken admission in my PhD. But I have not designed anything yet for my PhD research. Let's see during our classes and as we move on. So I will definitely
What was
work
your
upon it.
field of research of specialization in MPhil?
It was about algae of Bunair. The distribution
Okay.
and water quality effect on algae of Bunair and its distribution.
It's okay. Thank you. Siddiqullah, can you hear me? Okay, now I would like to talk to you about the PhD and work of PhD. Why is this different from MPhil? And what are the challenges which you will have to face while doing PhD? And why is this very much important to be very much rich in knowledge and the topic which you will select? These theses will be sent to foreign countries and they will be checked there, first thing. So in that term, it's an international work, while MPhil was not international level work. National reviewers, they would use to check your thesis, and then you would be, they would ask you for questions and why, etc. So all those affairs of your MPhil were of internal nature. Now in PhD, you are going to face the world. You are going to face the international community, right? So for that very specific purpose, you are supposed to enrich your work. What will you do when you will select your topic? While selecting your topic, you all must be very much pensive. In terms of novelty, the first thing is to be very much novel in your work. While selecting your topic, you must be sure that what you are going to select is novel in nature. By novel, we mean that this work has not been done by any of the scholar prior from Pakistan and worldwide. Now, if you want to repeat a work in research, it's not very much necessary to do only novel works. We can repeat a work, but in intention and with extensive knowledge that the work which has been published is not accurate, and we can bring some significant changes in the already done work. This is the only thing we can do for a repeated work. If we don't have facilities of proving the already published work wrong, and if we cannot afford the time of proving wrong the already approved work, we should not go for that. So what we came to know is to select a topic which is novel in nature in all respects, number one. Second, we must be able to accomplish that work in due course of time. It should not be substandard and it should not be above the standard. We must select a way out. We must design our research in a way where we can accomplish our work in due course of time, and it must be novel in nature. So while working, because this you are first semester students of first semesters, that's why it is important for you to understand this fact, that whenever you want to select a topic, go for an extensive review, extensively review that topic, no matter if it took some time, because it will be the beginning and it will be the base of your ongoing work. Then you will not think about the selected topic, then you will go for specification and accomplishment of that task. So you must keep it in mind, all of you, that whatever you want to select as a topic, as a research topic, you must know about that extensively, and you must know that how novel that work is. If you have any questions, you can ask me, then I'll go for ending this lecture. Any one of you, if you have any questions regarding this lecture, regarding anything, you can ask.
No, sir.
That's great. Have a nice time. Take care of yourself. And we will meet in next lecture, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Wish you good luck. Allah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.